Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wellness with EAC. My name is Nicole Guanzura, and I have the distinct privilege of being your host. If you are new to the show, welcome. And on this show, we talk a lot about career wellness. We're talking about the things that really help you feel supported from your mental health, financial literacy to your professional development. We'll sprinkle a little bit of our faith journeys in there. And when we have guests coming in, they're talking and normalizing and humanizing the experiences beyond what you see on social media or on their websites. You get to know a snippet of who they are and who the real deal are. And if you are returning, welcome back. So excited to have you. So wonderful that you have continued to support this podcast. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Give us some feedback. What do you want us to do more of? What do you want less of? Look, we've got a number of episodes that you all have listened to at this point. So, what's a vibe for you and what's not? I want to hear it. I promise I'm reading every single comment, and I'll also leave my contact info in the bio. Today's episode, I know I say this every time about how excited I am when I have guests, but y'all, I am really excited that we have a guest. And I'm so grateful because our guest today, she is just a wonderful human. I've gotten to know her through just my local community and Chamber of Commerce. And she was one of the first people actually to just kind of welcome me in the community, share a bunch of resources without even knowing me more than like 15 seconds. So you're going to get an essence of that and an essence of the work that she does and why she does it. So without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce you to Carmen Flores. Carmen is a co-founder of Because of Why. She's really passionate about working with youth, and you'll learn a little bit more about that. And her favorite drink in the world, like absolute cannot do without, is a cup full of ice and water, just straight water, plain water. Ice water is her jam. So if you see her sipping, if you're watching us on YouTube, she's sipping on her favorite drink, which is ice water. So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here, Carmen.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Hello to everyone out there. This is super cool. I've been loving your podcast. I watch them, so it's really awesome to be on something I'm watching.
Yes. Isn't it's so fun, right? I wasn't sure if I was going to do this as a video podcast, but it's so fun. I spend so much time on YouTube. I'm like, I need to start contributing more than just watching hours. I need to add something. So
I
I'm
don't
really
scroll.
right. I will just doom scroll. So now I need to add myself so that others can scroll through all my episodes. So I'm really glad you are here. Tell us more about you.
Yeah, well, my name is Carmen Flores. Like you said, I am the co-founder of Because of Why. Uh, a lot about me, honestly, is just my passion to help the youth. Growing up, I was a little bit kind of like, we all get scared of this generation because they're a little awkward and, you know, they're on their phones a lot. But I kind of feel like I got stuck in that generation where I was also out, and you were like, come back when the lights turn on outside the street lamps. But then I also got the generation with all the phones and stuff.
Mhm.
And but I was kind of that typical teenager everyone's kind of scared of. I was pretty awkward. I didn't have any communication skills. I had zero social skills. I had some severe anxiety. I mean, I
Mm.
had past traumas I hadn't dealt with. But it's like sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And
Mhm.
so you get a little confused in life. And I had people in my life that were so important to me, and they didn't care where you came from, who you were. They were just there in benefit of you. They just wanted the best for you. And it's like when you walk into a room and you're like, holy cow, are these people like real? Am I dreaming? Is this really happening? Are these opportunities going on? Especially as someone who like kind of pushed away opportunities out of being so scared.
Mm-hmm.
finally seeing a different shadow or different eye in front of me, I was like, wow, if I, just had that open mind and continue to learn from these different people, my life just kept getting better and happier. And again, things happen all the time, but when
Mm-hmm.
you change that perspective, no matter what good or bad is happening in your life, you get to see it in a different eye. And that's what I love to like, because of why is really just teen mindset coaching. We help teens in this crazy stage of life of being so
Mm-hmm.
confused to maybe, hey, life isn't as crazy as I think it is. And even if it is, what can I learn from this? How can I take this? How can I take this crazy ball of yarn and turn it into a cool ball and throw it into a business or, find that creativity. So that's a little
Wow.
bit about me.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that. I think it's the work that you do is so needed because earlier and earlier we hear so many negative statistics about Gen Z or about just what's going on. I think Generation Alpha is where we're moving into, and people are just misconstrued and miscategorized, or just people always want to put folks in a label, right? And you must abide by what that label says about you. And, here you are, you're like, wait, I actually got the best of both. So you can't pin me here or there. I am in
Yeah.
between, but I think it's so unique because then there's so much wisdom in that you're able to share, which you are already doing with youth about life is going to get stir crazy. And I think about the audience you work with where hormones are raging. Puberty is just like on the other side, just happened. And they're
Yeah.
trying to figure out who they are in this new season of life. Their brains are altering. Life circumstances are probably put into overdrive. And so much is happening. And sometimes families' reactions are to either treat it with just like completely ignore it, overly be aggressive, or overly just sugarcoat it, right? So I love that you're able to just help them think through exactly. I love that example of the ball of yarn because no matter what, we were just talking about this before we recorded, right? Like, no matter what, you can always look and find something negative in life. You can always look and find something else. But like you do this mindset coaching, um, it's about your perspective and it's about having people that are helping you with that. So thank you for what you're doing. And so, have you always wanted to be a business owner? Was this your desire? How did you come up with because of why, or, like, how did you come into the entrepreneurial journey?
That is such a funny question. So funny enough, uh, I never, I was kind of that kid growing up that I wanted to be everything in the world. Like one week
Mhm.
I wanted to be an astronaut, the whole, I can actually remember like it went from like I wanted to be a vet to a zookeeper to an astronomer to a neuroscientist. And then I was like bound on being uh a brain doctor. Like I wanted to be a brain doctor. That
Ah,
was like
okay.
my thing from like I think end of freshman year to kind of my junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And when funny enough, that's actually when COVID started happening, my junior, senior year. But what happened first was I needed to find a way to make more money because as a
Mm-hmm.
teenager, you want money for random reasons. Like,
Right.
oh, I didn't need anything. I had a
No.
house and food and stuff. But I started making candy and
Mm-hmm.
not making, I started selling candy. I
Mm-hmm.
started selling Mexican candy, and my school was primarily, an American cultured school. And so they didn't have a lot of that taste from different countries. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I did, I was like, well, let me make my own market here. And I was in a business marketing class. And funny
Mm-hmm.
enough, my teacher was like, you can't be doing this at school. And I was like, it's okay, just don't look. And that was my very first entrepreneurial journey. I think I've always been thrown into it. My mom, she's always been selling food and she's got the best food in the world. That may sound biased, but it's not. She's got some awesome food. I was like running all the neighbors. I used to do like lemonade stands and all types of stuff. So I think I've always just had that kind of creativeness. I just hadn't found how to like grasp it into something.
Mm,
Because the candy thing was kind of like random, but then, COVID came along. I met Nick, and him and I are partners in a
mm-hmm,
relationship, and we were like, well, our jobs are getting in the way. We were living in kind of like a toxic culture at work, and we're like, wow, if this is going to be our adult life where we're dealing with this kind of toxic culture, although that's not every place,
mm-hmm,
we're kind of like, we need to take our own stand. We're really big on if we don't like what we're seeing, let's make a better place for someone else.
mm,
So we immediately were like, okay, what's a problem we can solve? And COVID was around. So we're like, well, people aren't getting their essential supplies.
yeah,
And a lot of people don't want to go into Costco and BJ's and all these other warehouse areas to get
mm-hmm,
their bulk buys. And so, funny enough, we became resellers and
mm-hmm,
go buy the stuff and then sell them to them for just enough profit to profit. And
yeah,
so it just became a really awesome thing that worked for a long time. And then we're like, okay, let's find our passion in this now. And our
mm,
passion was in vintage and modern items. So we
mm,
actually ended up having like a 10 by 20 storage unit just full of like things from this probably early 20s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up to the early 2000s, like collectibles. And it
mm-hmm,
was the funnest thing ever. I mean, we were at flea markets, we were here, there. It was amazing. Um, but it was really interesting. We went through kind of this journey of we loved it, but it
mm-hmm,
wasn't our why.
mm,
Our why had always been because we had both been through kind of traumatic scenarios growing up,
mm-hmm,
but we had kind of, pushed past that. We had a shift in view. We were always learning. We were picking up books. We were picking up podcasts.
mm.
And because of why was originally a podcast, funny enough, where we'd go
Oh.
out to DC and we would interview business owners, like literally a scared 17, 18-year-olds would just be like, why do you do what you do? And they would just, and it was awesome because these
Yeah.
adults were like, they were talking into the mic, and I mean, they didn't know where this was going, but they listened, and everything they talked about we had chosen because of why, because of our why.
Mm-hmm.
Realized that a lot of them were super successful because of their why, and realizing that some of them, their why changes over time, and some of them it's
Mm-hmm.
been the same since childhood.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, at every single step, it was their why.
Mm.
And so we took an entire year to really find how can we make mindset our thing. And
Mm-hmm.
we finally took the leap. We liquidated all of our resale stuff. We sold it out, and whatever we didn't sell, we donated probably like 3 truckloads at the donation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we became certified. I mean, we did the certifications. I mean, we're still constantly, that's one of our things in our ethics statement. Like, we
Yeah.
have to be constantly learning because
Mm.
things are changing. And even if they're not changing, there's information out there that you just don't know. And to us, it's kind of like our responsibility. If we know there's more information out there that can help someone else, we
Mm-hmm.
might as well go and find it. And
Yeah.
so we're still traveling, we're still doing like traveling out to seminars and workshops and taking all the courses. And we're
Mm.
constantly trying to find new certifications that we feel could help boost the youth around us.
Yeah.
Just because, again, like you don't know what you don't know. And we might as well bring it to them if we can.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly. Thank you for that journey. I think it's so important just as you're trying to figure out what you're passionate about, why you do what you do, right? I think of just even the couple of years that EAC has been around, the how of how we do things has shifted, but the why has never shifted.
Mhm.
Right?
I actually, there's a book, Viktor Frankl,
Mm,
he wrote a book about the Holocaust and his experience that he went through. And I will
mm,
always remember his quote, and it's, with a why, you can get through almost any how. And
yes.
that has just stuck with me forever. And it's crazy because it's very, very true.
It is very true because when you're looking at that and even looking from yeah from that perspective from something that's just so traumatic for him I'm sure and but just getting through, because of the why, because of whatever his family might have gone through. For you, because of what you wanted to do. For Nick, because of the why that was motivating him as well. And of which, y'all, Nick is going to be on the show, so you're going to hear the other side of the perspective. I wanted both of them to come on separately to be able to talk about their journeys individually, but Nick will be on the show.
I will see him do
Um,
some cartwheels and like handstand push-ups.
you never know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Same energy, very just amazing energy there. So I think it, like you're saying, it's so important to figure out that why, and once you feel comfortable with that, then you can do anything. So when you do have to shift, and as an entrepreneur, you do shift quite a bit. You shift quite a bit, but when you're focused on your why, for me, I get to look at my why every day. It's my kids. When I look at the time I want to have off to spend with them, the time when I look at my husband and I'm like, you know what? After a little while, you're not going to have to work so as hard. And I look at myself, I'm like, after a little while, you're gonna have people who are doing this for you. You're gonna have things. So I look at the why of the lifestyle, the opportunities, breaking, things that were kind of generational curses and generational impactful things that end here with me, that end with my husband, that now we can shift how we set our kids up for the future, set our families up for the future. So when I look at that why, the how might be a little, sometimes it sucks. Sometimes when you have to figure out why you're pivoting, it sucks. But when you realize back to the why, it's so important. So there's my long-winded response to that. But I think it's so important. So, Carmen, I'd love to know, you've just experienced so much, and I've just been able to also just personally see your impact around this community. Um, where we live and work. What are you really proud of? If you're looking and you're saying, okay, Carmen, like, girl, you did this. Like, you did this. Like, you wake up and your day is a little bit better because you're proud of that thing. What is it? Or
Yeah.
moment?
I'm always very big on being proud of yourself for a lot of things, but
Hmm.
honestly, my most proud moment right now was we just ended our summer series for 11 to 14 year olds. And these middle school kids are super awesome, but
Hmm.
there were two kids in particular that, I mean, they were all super, super happy to be there and everything. We got great feedback. But one of the kids, um, he we have them right on the board, like what's one
Hmm.
for today, or just something that we can be able to check them in, but they're also kind of thinking. And he wrote something so simple, but to me, it was like, I know it wasn't as simple as it seems. It was something along the lines of like, I can work better in groups now. And it's just that
Hmm.
small stuff, right? It's like the
Hmm.
small stuff that's like, oh, because in the beginning that was like something that was a little tough for them. And this
Hmm.
other one where and I'm a total like my mom calls me a chicken heart because I like cry for everything. But she asked this one and she's like, Carmen, what can I draw for you? Because she's a total drawer. It's like
Mm.
awesome. I was like, I don't know, a bear. Like I just thought of something. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
The next day today, it's the last day of the Growth Explorers, and she just hands me like this. She drew out like an actual bear. It was like super awesome. She named it Honey Bear, and on the back, it was literally a full page letter that she wrote to us.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
smacked on it with tape was a letter that her mom wrote. Like she had her help her. But it was just like I literally almost broke down in tears in front of her. I was like hugging her and I was like,
Oh my
and it's
goodness.
just like those are the moments that I feel most proud of because there are those crazy times you're like, oh man, I hope I'm getting to these kids, I hope I'm getting like helping these kids out. I hope they learn something. You always ask them, we always ask them about in the class, like, what did you learn today? And they
Yeah.
did something and it's super awesome. But it's like hearing stuff like that, or even like one of the kids, like we had a meditation day, we did Wim Hof, right? A breathing technique. And it looks
Mhm.
so weird because you're doing a belly breath and a chest breath and you're going, right, and you're breathing out. It's super funny. I mean, even when we do it with adults, they're kind of like a little awkward about it. But we explained to them how it can help with their anxiety and
Mhm.
help doing it. And they were doing it great. And I was like, look at these kids going. And
Oh.
the next day, this girl comes up. She's like, can we do it again? And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, let's go mess up the whole lesson plan. Let's just go outside and meditate. And it's like those are my most proud moments. And I know you said one, but I think I said three.
No, it's okay. And I think they just, from the one, just seeing those experiences real time. And one of the things I love about your programming is that it's not just one time, right? You're allowing them to build relationships with each other. The way that you're saying that for mom to write a letter, mom was impacted too, right? For you to be on the verge of tears, you're impacted. For Nick, like, even then when you look at the organizations that are supporting some of these students to be a part of it too, they're impacted. So it's proud. It's like I feel like a blooming onion. I don't know, weird example, but like it's like a blooming.
Like you when you fry a big onion and then go,
Yes.
yeah.
Right. And then it's just like when it comes to when you put it in the fryer, it's all together, right? Your program was all together. Then you put it in the fryer and it's like opening up and each petal has an impact. And there's a delightful result in the end, delightful, delicious result in the end. But it's so impactful and so important. So I appreciate you sharing that. Um, so let's turn this on its head a little bit. When you're reflecting on your journey, right, you shared a lot about your experiences so far. And at an early age, I don't think people realize that when you were doing this, you were in high school. When you're saying junior, senior, it was in high school. It wasn't, in college. It wasn't in like, your late 30s. High school is when you were doing all of this, right? And some of us, were experiencing maybe just the class, but you were outside of the classroom exploring what that could look like. So, just kind of reflecting on your experience so far, is there something that you would have done differently? Or a lesson now that you're saying, you know what, there was room for improvement and I'm better now because I've learned from it?
Yeah. I will full-heartedly admit, and I think you mentioned in the beginning in your intro that you talk a little bit about faith.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I wouldn't change anything about my journey just because I definitely believe that every hard step, every easy step, I mean, I don't know about those easy ones, but I don't know about those ones, but all of those crazy things, like they led to now. Like, of
Mm,
course, they sucked, but like Layla Hormozy says, go through the suck and you'll figure it out. But one thing I would add more of is really get closer to my faith. I
mm,
think God to me has been just such a powerful essence in my life.
mm.
And I know I definitely needed kind of more of an open mind when I was younger. I
Yeah.
think I was more in that rebellious stage, like, I'm gonna do what I want, versus, like, no one's telling you to do it. Just like,
Right.
look, just listen, you're okay, girl. And so, yeah, I would push more faith on
Mm,
me just because at least to me, I'm like, when I know I can put my everything into God, I know that He's got my back. And
yeah.
especially on those trial and entrepreneurial moments when you're shifting, just gonna be like, God's got my back. Okay. It's like it's those moments that you're like, okay, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know, it's just something different about having that bigger person who you can rely on.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I'll tell you that. my faith, I've always believed in God my whole life. I have really, and I think when I was 18, when I was saved, is when I started to learn more about how to develop a relationship with Him versus just like the God of like the grannies who are like, you sin, you're going to get struck by lightning. Like, I'm like, no, no, no. Can I learn about the other characters of who God
That's
is?
that book.
Right? Like, let me know that he's an Abba Father and like he's gracious. And when it says he's jealous, it's because he doesn't want to share. Like he's jealous. Like he's excited to just have this relationship with me. He doesn't want to share it with anybody else, right? Because then they misinfluence you.
Yeah.
But I think as an entrepreneur, my faith has like quadrupled. Not quadrupled is like actually not even true. Like has 10x, maybe 20x. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like I am not the same person I was in 2020. Like 2020, 2021. I am not the same person. Not that I was a bad person, not that I was, but when you're literally down to nothing and you're like, God, all I've got is you. I was telling somebody earlier, one of the moms at the pool, and I was like, so, like when you're literally, I'm to the point where I'm like, Holy Spirit, help me find a parking spot. Like I'm always talking to him now. Like I feel a little delulu sometimes. But I'm like, I'm so dependent on him
Yeah.
because if my day doesn't start with him and my night doesn't end with him, it's
Yeah.
not the same. When I've still got joy in the chaos of life. I've got peace that makes no sense, like Maverick City says,
Mhm.
because of my faith. And had I not had that, entrepreneurship can be crippling.
I couldn't agree any better. Like seriously. I don't know. And sometimes it feels like unexplainable how
Yeah.
like necessary it is to just, and like you said, you're just saying you talk to him all the time. Like I do the same. I'm just like, God,
Right.
let me find this wallet because it has all my information in it. And it's like with everything, it's just like it just become a part of you, which is what he's always wanted. He wants to be there. And it's
That's it.
like, why push him away? Why push away the one person that believe in you when you really won't even believe in yourself? Right?
Exactly, exactly. I'm literally like, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, can't this whole life thing? No, I can't do that without him. Like, I've learned and I've tried, and even when I thought I was in control of things, because of his grace, mercy, and favor, I'm still here. So even when, like you said, even through your rebellious phase, he was there, and guess what? He was still crazy about you.
Yeah.
How
And
often? Yeah.
that was the crazy thing. It's just growing up, ooh, excuse me. Growing up, like I believed in God, but it was kind of like you said, like there was those scary like people that would just like throw that pressure on, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, man, I didn't know I signed this contract. And then- but it's like
Right.
when you figure it out, it's like that's a self-proclaiming thing. Like you walk into it, you choose it, and he's there whenever you need him. And it's like sometimes, I mean, Nick and I, we we'll be driving by the chapel, and I'm like, let's go visit God's house. Like we haven't visited him. Like,
Right.
it's things like that you don't think about. Because I remember one pastor, he said it, he's like, you visit your friend's house, but how many times do you visit God? Only on Sundays, only at Christmas, only on Easter, you
Right.
know? Like, go speak to him. You get to see him everywhere, but go speak to him. I'm like, yeah, because especially, and I think it also goes into the entrepreneurial side. It's like,
Hmm.
I don't want to just go to him when I'm having a problem in the business or
Yes.
like there's a misbalance. It's like, I want to thank him just for giving me a good day sometimes.
Mm. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Like you see him in the everyday. One of the things I think about all the time, I literally look for the little miracles every single day, right? I'm like, the God who knows how many hairs are on my head, the one who dresses the lilies with beauty and splendor, like that's him. Like the sparrow outside doesn't have to think about what they're going to eat. What more for me, right? When he gives me my daily bread, my manna every single day, I'm like, what more could I possibly need? But the world's pressures are like, what about next year? What about this? What about my 5 year plan? I'm like, if I'd given you my 5 year plan in 2020, I would have been laughing hysterically right now. Absolutely. I'm like, I plan a little bit and I'm like, okay, God, you know, are we co-signing on this? Like, God, are we doing something? Like, okay, so after all, this business is yours. Like, you're just having me run. I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, God, some days these kids, can I do 20% custody? You do 80% because like I just when I talk I cannot do I'm like and then my funniest, oh my husband is going to come for me when he listens to this episode. Some days he's getting on my nerves. I'm like, okay, he's your kid. He's yours. Please deal with him. Like, I've had enough.
That's the best one I've heard yet.
Literally. That's to the point. And we are not taught that. We were not taught that that is the kind of father. Yes, he disciplines. I think where people have issues is like when he disciplines you.
Yeah.
But any good parent is going to discipline you. Any good parent is going to help you redirect. Any good parent should be doing that, right? Any good friend should be rebuking you when you're like acting out. They should. They shouldn't just let you live your own truth all the time if it's not actually centered on anything true, right? Like, okay, we could go on a whole tangent, but yes, like literally for finding your wallets,
Oh my God.
um, for finding your wallet, for finding a parking spot, for finding peace, for when you're in a corner and everything hurts and you feel like you can't go in anymore, you can't do anything anymore. And then all of a sudden you feel peace, and you're like, oh, that's the peace that surpasses understanding. Like literally for all of it. I'm just like, all right, let's try Jesus again today. And then when
Mhm.
I do that thing that I mess up, that I promised him I wouldn't do, and I ask for forgiveness, he's going to forgive me again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. That literally took us down the most fun tangent, which is why I'm like, we're going to talk about
I
career
started like
wellness,
tearing.
right? Like, we're going to talk about career wellness, but we're going to add a little faith because honestly, there's no way you're going to complete a conversation. If you ask me where my joy comes from, you're going to get a little church. That's just, you're going to get a little, you're going to get a little Bible somewhere. If you're asking me why I'm so happy and everything else is falling apart, inflation, my grocery bill's out of control, well, well. If you tell me why I haven't thrown my business out the window, well, his promises are true and he's not man that he should lie. So, that's that. That's that. And this podcast is not for everybody, but for those who do, you're absolutely going to get it and you're going to laugh and cry funny tears like Carmen and I right now.
It's just meant to be. What meant to be is meant to be.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, so while we're talking about all this goodness in life, and I know you talked a little bit about just like even breathing and like sorting through some of the things that are sorting through some of the anxiety of life and all of that. What does wellness mean to you?
Yeah. So funny enough, I know to a lot of people I've spoken with, wellness is really that balance.
Mm-hmm.
But I always like to remind people that usually there's not a lot of such thing as balance.
Mm-hmm.
And we figure out that the hard way by trying to look for balance instead of accepting the fact that life is a little bit more like a roller coaster. And to me, wellness is just that full alignment of body and understanding that it's okay that life goes everywhere.
Mm,
You've got it. So,
yes.
right, like you got it. Whether you believe in God and he's got your back, or you really have to work on just that you believe. It's just you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
I always remind these kids, and hey, I remind myself this all the time. It's like if I'm going to go through something, I'm going to go through it confidently because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I'm building that skill, whether I made it happen or I totally failed at it, because I'm either going to learn when I succeed or learn when I fail.
Mm-hmm.
And so why be scared to jump? Because there's going to be something on that other side. And
Ooh.
again, that faith always helps carry me over, but it's just those 3 seconds of courage, right? If you break down confidence, confidence is just the skills you need to build in order to be confident in whatever it is you want to do, right? You're building,
Yeah.
you're getting those wins. And so to me, wellness is just, again, like that alignment of you got it. Like no matter what,
Mhm.
you're okay, you got this, good or bad, you're still you at the end of the day. You're getting something out of this. You'll be fine. Try that new thing, do the new thing, do the other thing that you were scared of again.
Mm. I love that. Because whichever way you're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So why be scared to jump? Is that coming on a t-shirt? I know you and Nick love a good t-shirt. Can you please put that on a t-shirt, a postcard,
You're right.
something? Because add that to your store. I want to buy it. I need, oh, Dream Without Limits.
That's
Dream
this.
Without Limits. I have not seen that one yet.
This is a new one. We just
Okay, see? Okay,
got
so I need the next one, which I know y'all going to be working on to include that.
them coming
Why be
up.
scared to jump?
I'm
I
writing that.
love that. I'm gonna be, you know what? I need that advice. Thank you for sharing that to me. Just write that down. And if you don't, when Nick is recording his episode and be like, Nick, Carmen and I talked. She
Day.
dropped some fire. I need you to put that on a t-shirt, please.
He's gonna be like, oh, what did she say this time? Don't worry, it was
Let me send
normal.
you the video clip. She knows. Oh my goodness. Oh, Carmen, this is so fun. And clearly we could just keep going. And I want folks to be able to connect with you, connect with the brains be behind because of why. And when students are trying to enroll in your programs or parents want to get connected, organizations want to partner with you, how do people get in touch with you?
So super easy. So we have all those social media platforms, but I'm not gonna name them. You can just email us at contact at sign it's because of why.com. That's really it. We always have specials on the website. We have our 30 free days for group youth coaching. So,
Hmm.
if you're a kid or a parent is just trying something new and you just want your kid to have the best future, need those social skills, confidence, communication skills, you know, we've got their back, we've got your back. So try it out for 30 days. They get a cool platform. They meet weekly. Actually, can I say something about the platform really
Yes,
quick?
please.
Super fun. So, what we do on the platform, one of the things is our resource page. And what I do on there is we'll put in a bunch of like positive videos, from different creators, because why not support, right? So, it's a bunch of creators, but they're all positive. And so, my theory is if, these kids go on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, but we put these videos and they'll click on them, their feed and their algorithm will slowly start to kind of develop into that positive feed versus,
Mm,
being comfortable and watching the sad videos, the relatable, like trendy videos that are, feeding into all of these thoughts. It's like if
hmm.
we can get them to keep clicking these positive ones, my thought is, well, the more you see it and like it, the more your algorithm says, hey, let me give them some more positive feedback, some more motivational videos. Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So that's just
Oh,
something that we were like, let's keep doing it because these kids, you can't stop a kid from going on social media.
no.
But you can sure, like encourage, like, hey, cool dude, by the way, this video is really cool. Watch it. And they're like, oh, cool. So then they click it. So that's one of
That
the
that is so valuable, and I appreciate that you are doing that because there's a lot of things that are very influential on the internet, and as we know, just rates of young people who are unaliving themselves is does isn't going down.
yeah.
That's the sad part. I see it a lot in college students. Still, one of the top 5 reasons they leave this earth. Um, and it's just like sometimes you're feeding into it. You're already thinking about it. You go on the internet, I don't know, an ad has probably been listening to you and it's going to start showing you tools and resources, but negative ones.
Yeah.
Or, oh, yeah, you know what? Maybe let your intrusive thoughts win. No, don't let them win. Please don't.
Absolutely. No,
Please
no.
don't.
There is like And again, it's just as humans, we look for relatability. And it
Mm-hmm.
is that one video, that one person to say something that's just like, you're tipping the scale. And it's like, if you don't know what you don't know, and then that's the only thing you know, that's what happens. And again, that's why I was saying, like, there are videos and again, teenagers, they go through these like emotions and things. And so what is the first thing you want to do? Is you want to find someone else that maybe feels the same way you do. What did you
Mm-hmm.
do in order to
Yeah.
feel better? Oh, I did this, and I did X and then Y. And I'm like, no, just talk to us,
Right.
but
Right.
and so it is a little scary, and I totally understand why parents, like, we always talk to parents and they get really scared about their kids on social media,
Mm-hmm.
well, all of these things. And I remind them, I'm like, one of the first things I always tell parents is like, just text your kid something positive. If your feed is
Yes.
positive, start texting them. You may not think they're going to watch it, but trust me, when and this sounds a little sad, but when they're sitting in their room alone, just in their own thoughts, they're going to look at that video. They
Yes.
Trust me, they will look at the video. So if any parent is watching, they will look for that video first because parents sent it versus random person on the internet said it. So I'd rather
Exactly.
take that chance, see that video, send it to them. They'll watch it at some point, or they'll remember that you sent it. If
Exactly.
it's
Exactly. Oh, Carmen, this is awesome. There's so much insight, and I'm gonna link your socials in the show notes so that folks can get in touch as well as your email. And I'm just really excited. Thank you for everything that you are doing and contributing to society in such a positive manner. And I really appreciate you taking time to be on the podcast again today.
Well, this has been absolutely amazing. So thank you for having this amazing platform for such amazing people, because it's been really fun and I love laughing till I can cry. So
Of course, of course. I love a good opportunity to just talk, get some real talk, but also just, kiki while we're at it. So thank you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. What did you enjoy about this podcast? What more do you want to see? Do you want Carmen to come back? Like, what do you all want to learn more about? My inbox is open. My DMs are open. So go ahead and share your feedback. I love seeing it.